Let's move on to cosmic horror,
Sure.
which I feel like is very adjacent to body horror sometimes. What do you think is like key to good cosmic horror?
I think key to good cosmic horror is just the concept that there are things out there that are so all powerful, so alien, so completely amoral that the human mind cannot comprehend them. That they are working schemes behind the tapestry of the cosmos that would never touch the mortal lifetime, that humans could never affect if they even found out what was going on, and that all of the sort of awful, terrible things that happen in the world are the result of this, just the completely outsized presence that's malignant and evil that people can't have any way of impacting. That's cosmic horror, right? The idea that there are things so terrible out there, that there are, that there's an elder mythos out there that's so awful, that even attempting to interact with it and engage with it could drive somebody out of their mind. That's the scary part of cosmic horror.
Yeah, that kind of and we see a couple of examples of domains that kind of personify this. Blutspur probably being chief amongst them, but it is that kind of a world without boundaries and a creature without boundaries and intelligence without boundaries that breaks the world and breaks your mind. Seems to be very key.
Yeah, absolutely. Like something that it's got a consciousness that's so complex and so ascended from what the mortal human mind can comprehend that any sort of mention of it, or like even looking upon it or hearing something, of its elder language, is going to just completely break one's mind. It's very nihilistic if you think about it. It's very much like, oh yes, there are these great cosmic powers out there, but they're not benevolent, and they're not, watching over the world, and they're not directing all of these things to make life possible. They're actually so disconnected from everything that if they actually cared about human life, and if they actually cared about, the mortal civilizations, everything would just end, because they could just turn their attention to people and speak, evil ancient elder words, and that would just make everything explode. Like, that's scary, right? Attracting their attention itself at all in any way is part of the horror there.
Is it one of the more challenging forms of horror to maintain as a player and a character in a story, to survive, to have fun, to not feel completely overwhelmed? Because it often doesn't end very well.
That's true, right? So that's true. So I know that there's somewhat of a subgenre of stuff like cosmic horror and just the horror in which, survival horror in general, sci-fi horror, space horror, that genre we were talking about now. It's something that I kind of think of as tragic horror, because the idea is flipped on its head from classic horror, in which the concept and sort of the goal is to survive. The goal is to get through the horrible thing and get on the other side of it, and deal with how that's affected you. In tragic horror, everyone's going to die. Everyone in the narrative knows they're going to die. And with that in mind, it then becomes about, how am I going to die? What am I going to do to sort of affect the situation before I die, so that this might not happen to other people? And it really sets up, this very sort of nothing to lose type of attitude, which can be really fun in tabletop, right? If everybody sort of knows, like, oh my gosh, we are on this suicide mission. We know that to stop this force, yes, it's going to save the world, but we have got to die, and there's no way around it. I think that's a really interesting way, pretty much like pick your characters who are going to die tragically, but become the heroes, and the whole reason that like existence continues is a really compelling concept.
Yeah, not to ruin a bunch of films. Underwater was actually kind of a strangely great example of this. And then, The Thing, obviously, classically, the two men left at the end of it just let's just wait a while.
Absolutely.
Watching each other acutely. Event Horizon, anything with Sam Neill, apparently. Event Horizon with the door slowly closing.
Where we're going, we don't need eyes to see.
Oh,
I love Event Horizon. Event Horizon is So, oh my gosh, it's so visceral. It's one of my favorite horror movies because again, it's in that sort of sci-fi space horror subgenre. But it's really fascinating as it plays so deeply into that trope of the unknown is a terrible, horrifying thing that's capable of just violence and mayhem that's not even comprehensible, right? Like, I know that there are outtakes of that film. There's a special edition version of that film that was never released because it was just so intense, because the things that they're showing on the screen, right, are just not something that they can put in front of audiences.
Yeah, I remember all the Latin phrases from that still to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that idea that, venturing into the unknown is a terrible, awful thing that you should probably never do is really, I think, speaks deeply to a lot of people.
Yeah, cosmic horror really is like, even if you do survive, you're going to bring something back with you.
Yeah, it totally, like, it sort of infuses that paranoia into your everyday life when you watch, stuff like Event Horizon and some other films in that same subgenre, where it's like, I have not seen this everyday household object for a long time. Where has it been? Oh God, I hope it's not been in hell because Event Horizon. I haven't seen my DMG in 2 weeks. Where did it go? Oh no!
It's Event Horizon.
Yeah.
If you want to watch more videos on Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, we've got a whole lot more coming up. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the Amazon affiliate link in the description and purchase the book, or just like, subscribe, share with your friends, and leave some comments down below. I love talking about Ravenloft, so I'm going to keep doing it. I hope you guys are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching.